Legendary artist Bob Rauschenberg lived by his quote, "Curiosity is the main energy." Rauschenberg, who would have turned 100 this month, used that curiosity to search for a new home. In part of a month-long celebration of the Expressionist, WGCU's arts and culture reporter Tom Hall shows us Rauschenberg's path to Captiva.
In 1968, American artist Robert Rauschenberg bought property on Captiva Island. 2 years later, he made it his permanent home. Jade Dellinger with the Bob Rauschenberg Gallery says it was a move written in the stars.
He visits this Zoltan Mason. Mason tells him that you need to avoid the mountains after getting his astrology chart made. Avoid the mountains and find a coastal location to make your home.
Zoltan Mason was the astrologer to the stars, and his advice resonated with the artist. Rauschenberg had spent several pleasurable weeks in 1960 on Florida's Treasure Island, completing illustrations for Dante's Inferno.
And found this little fisherman's wharf. Supposedly it was about to be knocked down. He convinced the owner to let him stay there for a number of months and he would pay him very little rent. But during that time, between 58 and 60, in 1960, while here, he managed to illustrate Dante. He did a contemporary version of it, actually.
Rauschenberg had recently gone on a drive with a collector in her white Jaguar sports car.
So Bob traded a painting for this automobile, which became his escape from Manhattan and also the car that he drove as he made the stops down the East Coast and eventually found his way to Captiva.
Captiva spoke to him in an almost primordial way.
Bob always identified with and/or believed that he was part Cherokee, and that as he came down the west coast of Florida, and particularly when he got to Captiva and he saw Sanibel, and there is this history that he became palpably aware of. He felt the presence of this kind of energy that had to do with, I think, both the Tamakawa and the Calusa Indians.
A couple of events reinforced the connection Rauschenberg felt for the barrier island.
He talked about getting out of a car and being surrounded by a ball of butterflies, or having to stop because there was a tortoise crossing the road and helping it along its way.
Rauschenberg paid homage to Zoltan Mason and the role he played in guiding him to Captiva.
He would acknowledge it later in one of his most famous works of art, an editioned print called Booster that he did with Gemini GEL in Los Angeles. The background of a full-bodied X-ray of Rauschenberg as a self-portrait is that star chart from Zoltan Mason.
While his move to Captiva may have been written in the stars, Rauschenberg once said that by virtue of working on Dante's Inferno on Treasure Island, he'd pass through hell to end up in paradise. For WGCU News, I'm Tom Hall.
Thanks for watching. We've got more great content for you, from news to the arts to the environment. So be sure to like and subscribe to WGCU's YouTube channel and follow us on our social media platforms for the stories that matter to you.